This is the Sri Ramana Maharshi satsang, a time to listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke. I'm not a guru or a teacher. I just love this teaching and so want to share it. I'll be reading and commenting on the Ashtavakra Gita. This is chapter 2, the first 7 verses. And in these verses, Janaka is speaking, and he's speaking from the joy of self-realization. I am now spotless and at peace. Awareness beyond consciousness. All this time I have been duped by illusion. By this light alone, the body and the universe appear. I am everything, or nothing. Seeing there is no universe or body, by grace the self is revealed. As waves, foam, and bubbles are not different from water, so the universe emanating from self is not different from self. Look closely at cloth. You see only threads. Look closely at creation. You see only self. As sweetness pervades sugarcane juice, I am the essence of creation. Not seeing self, the world is materialized. Seeing self, the world is vanished. A rope is not a snake, but can appear to be. So let's explore these Ashtavakra Gita verses. They express what is also Ramana Maharshi's teachings. Chapter 2, verse 1. I am now spotless and at peace. Awareness beyond consciousness. All this time I've been duped by illusion. Janaka is speaking in these verses of the joy of self-realization. He declares the realization of the self as pure awareness, beyond ordinary consciousness. He acknowledges that all along he has been deceived by the illusion of individual identity and worldly attachments. In self-knowledge, this realization of being spotless and at peace is the awakening to your true nature, beyond the limitations of the mind and its perceptions. This verse encourages you to move beyond the fluctuations of the mind and identify with the unchanging awareness within. It asks you to seek inner peace and freedom from the illusion of being a body, mind, and ego through self-inquiry and self-knowledge. Verse 2. By this light alone, the body and the universe appear. I am everything, or nothing. Here Janaka speaks of the illuminating light of consciousness that reveals both the body and the entire universe. This light is the essence of existence. He says that your true nature is neither identified with nor separate from the manifested universe. The realization of being everything or nothing is the transcendence of duality and the recognition of the non-dual nature of the self. This verse encourages your knowledge of the nature of awareness and existence, but more than mental understanding, it asks for direct experience and knowledge. It prompts you to open to non-duality, fostering a shift from identifying with the body and mind to realizing the expansive non-dual nature of the self. Verse 3, seeing there is no universe or body, by grace the self is revealed. Janaka reveals that upon recognizing the illusory nature of the universe and body, the true self is unveiled through divine grace. Grace is not something that you do. It is a gift from the self that comes when you open to it. The recognition of your true nature involves a shift in your sense of identity, moving from identifying with transient forms, the body, mind, and ego, to realizing and identifying as the eternal presence, the self which underlies all appearances. This verse inspires you to deepen your practice with humility and openness to grace. It encourages you to let go of attachments to transient phenomena and to seek the eternal essence that underlies all experiences. To let go of what comes and goes and hold to what is always. Verse 4, as waves, foam, and bubbles are not different from water, so the universe emanating from self is not different from self. Janaka speaks of the non-dual nature of reality, just as waves, foam, and bubbles are inseparable from water and merely different expressions of its essence. Similarly, the entire universe is an expression of the self, appearing to be different. The difference is illusory. Everything that arises is fundamentally of the same essence as the self. There is only the self. This verse promotes you to know the unity that underlies all diversity. It encourages you to see the interconnectedness of all forms and phenomena and foster a sense of reverence. You are not separate. Verse 5, look closely at cloth, you see only threads. Look closely at creation, you see only self. Janaka uses a metaphor to illustrate the underlying unity of creation. Just as when closely examining a cloth, you see it as composed of threads, similarly, when deeply contemplating creation, you see only the self manifesting in various forms and phenomena. The cloth is just threads. Forms and phenomena are just the self. The verse encourages you to develop a discerning vision that sees beyond superficial differences and recognizes the underlying unity of existence. It prompts reflection and a deeper knowledge of the nature of perception, reality, and yourself. Verse 6, as sweetness pervades sugarcane juice, I am the essence of creation. Janaka gives an analogy on the essence of creation or existence, which is the self, to the pervasive sweetness in sugarcane juice. He says that the self permeates and sustains all of existence, just as sweetness saturates every drop of sugarcane juice. Verse 6 inspires you to dive deeper into the essence of your being through self-inquiry and investigation. It encourages you to embrace the inherent sweetness and fullness of existence by realizing the self. You don't need to look outside of yourself for this sweetness. It is inherent to your existence. Verse 7, not seeing the self, the world is materialized. Seeing self, the world is vanished. A rope is not a snake, but can appear to be. Janaka states that the appearance of the world is contingent upon the recognition or non-recognition of the self. When the self is not realized, the world appears real. However, upon self-realization, the illusion of a separate world dissolves, akin to mistaking a rope for a snake due to misperception. It is not a separate world, but just an appearance, really just the self. Today's last verse urges you to question your perceptions and beliefs about reality. It encourages the cultivation of discrimination and discernment and the pursuit of self-realization as the key to freedom from the illusion of separateness. It encourages you to look beyond appearances into the essence of things, into your own essence. This is what Ramana means by who am I? Through deep contemplation and self-inquiry based on these verses, you can directly experience the profound teachings of non-duality and self-realization that Janaka expressed. These teachings are echoed by Ramana Maharshi. They emphasize the realization of the self as pure awareness beyond illusion and duality. The verses illustrate that all phenomena, including the body and the universe, are manifestations of the self. They teach that recognizing this unity as yourself leads to the dissolution of the appearance of a separate world and reveals true reality. So inquire, know yourself, and be always free and at peace. And now we have a video from Nome, the One Self.
The reality which is the self ever is and alone is. That which is unreal never exists. Those who see the truth comprehend this. How is it that they see the truth? The reality alone can know the reality. Brahman alone knows Brahman. No other can do so, nor does any other exist in order to attempt to do so. How do the seers of truth see the truth? By abidance in that as that itself. It is not possible for the unreal to know the real, or the not-self to know the self. Knowledge belongs to the self alone, and in this lies liberation from all of the imagined bondage. Sri Bhagavan tells us to inquire, who am I, in order to realize the self. He also says how to realize or make more real that which is already real. Therefore, in the inquiry to know oneself, it is more a matter of unrealizing the unreal. That is, ceasing to misidentify, confusing the self with what is not the self. The Maharshi has said, who is to realize what when all that exists is the one self? And he also advises to inquire, who am I? There is no contradiction. If the one who does not know the truth examines his own nature, his knowledge, the knower and the known, all turn out to be the same thing. Samsara, or the realm of illusion, prevails only due to not knowing the self. If the self is known, there is no samsara whatsoever. Therefore, the Maharshi defined Maya as that which is not. Not as something temporarily occurring, nor as some independent power, but simply that which is not. For the realization of supreme truth, put the question to yourself. Inquire deeply within yourself as to who am I? The one who realizes truth is already existent. And that one, that the being of that one, is the substance of the realization. For in this, being is knowing. It is not a conceptual or perceptual knowledge, not through thought or the senses. How will you know yourself? Not through seeing and hearing, not through thinking. How is it that you know that you exist? It is with that very same knowledge. If there is one who seems to stand apart, to say, my experience, I have not realized, I will realize. Who is that one? Sri Ramana says to say, I have realized the self, I have not realized the self, both statements are absurd. Because all there exists is this one self, pure being, consciousness, bliss, without form, without division, without type or phase or condition or limitation of any kind. It is unborn, so it is innately imperishable. Only that which is without beginning and end is real. That which appears with beginning or end actually never began at all. The realization of this is its end. That unborn, imperishable existence is what you are. To conceive otherwise is merely imagination, and that imagination is at the root of all that is of the nature of bondage or suffering. The suffering depends on bondage. The bondage or limitation consists of misidentification or ignorance. The ignorance all has its root in the conception of existing as an individual entity, an ego. Search out that sense of I in yourself, the one that seems to be individualized. If you inquire into that one, no bondage is found, and there is the liberation. If you inquire into that one, no ego is found, only one self exists. The Upanishads instruct Tattvamasi, that you are. It is a statement of the truth. To realize its significance, one need not pretend to stand apart from it. That is, as if an onlooker or a contemplator of it. Because the statement is that you are. Not that you are another, but that you are. What you are does not change at any time. What changes is not true. The characteristic of what is true or what is real is that it is immutable. The changeless abides in and as the changeless. That is, it realizes itself. Through inquiry to know who you are, abandon false definition, that is, relinquish misidentification, including the notion of I. Then everything the Maharshi has imparted is abundantly clear. Inquire within yourself to realize the essence of this. The eyeless being that remains, the eyeless consciousness, which is infinite, that remains, is the silence.
Let's take a few minutes and inquire. You exist. Notice you exist. You exist, and you know that you exist. So inquire, investigate within yourself. What does it mean that you are everything or nothing? Observe the various forms and phenomena around you. Can you recognize them as expressions of the self? Can you find anything that is not the self? What is your experience when you eliminate the world and your thoughts? Who are you then? Who am I? What am I? All right. Now our chant. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Now, how was satsang with Nome? Richard went satsang Sunday.
It was wonderful. It was just like this, you know, knowing, when you say knowing you're nothing or everything, it reminds me of what Nisargadatta Maharaj said. When I know I'm nothing, that is wisdom. When I know I'm everything, that is love. And between the two, I live.
Yeah. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so you saw the struggles Nome has with his body now.
Absolutely, yep. And he walked in and sat down, and somebody's next to him, always moving his hands.
Right.
And then when he was leaving, he went in the wheelchair and then walked downstairs. But that's not what's important.
Right. And his satsang was, I'm sure, just as strong and as powerful as ever.
Yes, it was. And
He,
just wonderful to be there.
yes, yes. He can't take as many questions because he didn't have the strength,
Right, right.
but he still takes a few.
He takes, I think, up to 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they was there for the recitation of the Ribhu Gita and there,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's where his strength is.
Mm-hmm.
And now in the Houston Ramana, we're reading the Ribhu Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
So it is still such a grace that we have been touched by Ramana.
absolutely. It's all grace.
Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, I think for me, meeting Nome was really a transforming experience. It's the, kind of my life was before Nome and after Nome. And that's really Nome as kind of Ramana's branch office.
yeah.
That's good.
Anyway, I'm enjoying the Ashtavakra Gita. This is, very, for me, focused and intense and kind of deeply true, a lot of truth in just a few words.
Mhm.
Right. Just like Ramana's teachings pointing to
Yes,
that nothing and everything.
yes.
Wonderful.
And like I also said to you, Richard, before the session started, one of the recent verses in talks, Ramana was explaining that, this stuff is like somebody who is in Tiruvannamala asking, how do you get to Tiruvannamala?
Yep. Yeah. And Evelyn is going to be in Tiruvannamalai.
Yes, I am.
Wow.
Yep. I'm both.
You know how to get to Tiruvannamalai.
Yes, yes.
Yes, that's also kind of grace has to enter in there. Make sure you get there. But yeah, for me, it's a place where I can get in touch with that deep peace.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. So I'm more than looking forward to it.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Well, anyway, namaste.
Namaste.
Good
Namaste.
being with
Thank
you
you.
today.
And this satsang is just as wonderful as any. Thank you.
Well, anytime that we are able to hear the truth is wonderful, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However we get it.
Yeah. It's
Anyway,
everywhere.
namaste.
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 The book, Who Am I with Comments, is my take on these early teachings of Ramana Maharshi. It's available on Amazon, free to Kindle subscribers. A link is in the video notes. These videos bring Ramana's teachings into your direct experience. Click subscribe to see more. Click thumbs up to like, and send questions and start a dialogue with a comment